A very good afternoon to you from the sports desk. Let's focus on some rugby news. Big game that is just about to kick off that will see the Bulls in action against the top of the table Leinster, who are unbeaten so far this season. Well, one thing for the Bulls is that they know what it's like to beat Leinster. Leinster coming into this game without some of their big guns. Will this give an advantage to the Bulls? Let's take you now to Yolulwe Qoshe, who is at Loftus Versveld as we build up to this top of the table clash. Yolulwe, a big game indeed. We spoke earlier on about just some of the players that we look forward to as far as the Bulls are concerned. But I mean, the coach Jake White has actually, looked into the fly half position, and many have been saying about his changes there at fly half. What do you make of that particular change, and how much of an impact do you think that will be going into this game?
Yes, indeed, Gwena, another change at fly half. We've had Villaroo playing at fly half for the majority of the last block of games. Now he's given the opportunity to kick in Jannes, a player that is a versatile player, but mainly a scrum half. But funny enough, during his high school days, he was always a fly half and then got into the franchise junior systems and was converted into the scrum half position. In the past, Jake White has spoken about the value of having a player like Kigon Jannes in that type of position. Usually, when you say versatility is a hindrance, but in the days of a 6-2 and 7-1 split, it is also becoming more and more as an advantage if you can play one or two positions. And Jannes is going to be the beneficiary of that today. We spoke about that with Jake White yesterday, and he said that he was training with confidence, and he's expecting him to come in and show what he was showing at training on the big stage here in front of a sizable crowd at Loftus Versveld Stadium. But also to mention, Gwen, it's not the first time he starts in this competition at fly half. They had a tough tour earlier in the season. They turned things around in a game against Benetton when they beat the Italian side 17-15 earlier in the campaign away from home. Kigon Jannes was the fly half on that occasion. So Jake White will be hoping that Jannes can channel that type of performance to help get his side over the line here at Loftus Versveld this evening.
Cameron Hanekom and Marcel Coetzee come in, both experienced Springboks. What do you make of the impact that they will have on the game?
Well, firstly, going a massive boost to have Cameron Hanekom back. He was in menacing form before the Springbok resting protocols took place, and he couldn't play the last batch of local derbies. And the Bulls missed him because he's not only an explosive player with ball in hand, but he's also adaptable on the ground. He knows how to fetch. So he's a player that can also be found on the width of the field, beating one or two defenders. So he's a multifaceted player that always helps the Bulls when it's time to go forward. So having him at the back of the scrum, refreshed and ready to go, is going to be of massive importance to Jake White and his team today. They will be looking to bully Leinster with the forward pack, also just making sure that it's energy-sapping stuff for them, because they know that the altitude is going to kick in at some point in the game, and their opponents will probably suffer from that the most. And that's where the importance of a Marcel Coetzee returning comes in, because once you max out a player like Cameron Hanekom, then Marcel Coetzee, who returns from a concussion protocol as well, he then comes in and does exact same job with more experience on his shoulders. He's also an explosive player, also knows how to play ball on the ground, and it's also one of the players that you would expect to give the Bulls a bit of go forward in this particular game. So that is one of the facets that will be, mouth-watering for a coach like Jake White, to know that he's got two very, very big players that can come in, one from the start and another coming straight from the bench.
Well, speaking of returns, Argies Neyman returns for Leinster to a stadium that he knows quite well. How much of an impact will that be for Leinster, considering his knowledge of the stadium and possibly most of the players in the Bulls side?
It's a very interesting one, Gwena, because Argies Neyman is a guy that grew up just down the road. He went to school at Affie's, took the traditional route from Affie's to Tuks to Loftus Versveld Stadium. He played here at the Bulls up until 2019, a pivotal member of the team that went to the quarterfinals of the Super Rugby competition back then. He then went and got greener pastures overseas after winning the World Cup with the Springboks in Japan that year. Jake White spoke about having such players on his side of the bench, on his side of the touchline, in fact, rather than having them boosting an Irish province like Leinster. He spoke about them coming back, like Jannes Kirsten we spoke about earlier in the day, coming back to give intel to the young players and also showing them, what it takes to be a strong player, to make a big impact at the top level. But at the end of the day, he is on the Leinster side and is expected to be a big player for them, especially when you mention that they're missing 16 of the internationals who did battle for Ireland in the Six Nations. So having that type of player will be massive for them. The Leinster side also have a New Zealander in their ranks in Jody Barrett and well-established All Blacks. So this is not a Leinster side that will be coming here saying that they don't have the requisite, tools to cause, an upset in this current gaze that they find themselves in here at Loftus Versveld. They've got the right players if they can blend in well with the academy players that have also been given an opportunity in this game. Orchies Sneeman being one of those players that is expected to have a key game. And then obviously for him, he's a bit of a home crowd favorite. He returned with Munster last year to this ground and he got a rapturous applause from the Loftus faithful. He'll be hoping for more of the same, but of course the Loftus faithful will be hoping that he doesn't have such a good game and then they can, get him on the wrong side of the results here at Loftus and spoil his homecoming to say Gwena.
Yolulwe Qoshe live for us at Loftus Versveld as we await kickoff of that game. The Bulls in action against Leinster. Leinster top of the table, yet to be beaten this season.